Hey everybody, Chris here from It's Mead Made, and today is going to be a fun, short little project. So let's go ahead and get into it. So for those of you that have watched a few of my videos, you probably have already determined that I'm a fan of Pokemon. And when I saw this little Oddish, I was like, ooh, I want to print that. A lot of people were putting plants in it and stuff like that. I know I'll kill the plant, so I figured I'm going to print this and do something a little different. So I went ahead and downloaded it, sliced it up in Cura, and then threw it on my Ender 3 Pro. Once it was all done, all I had to do was remove the supports, and here it is. So this is going to be a really quick and easy project, but I just thought it would be fun to do, because all I've got to do is really paint his eyes and his mouth. But the big thing is what I'm going to do with his hair, or I guess leaves? So let's go ahead and jump to the paint table and paint his eyes and his mouth. Alright, so I've got Oddish here, and I've got all the supports all cleaned off, and he's ready for painting. But if you notice, I actually had a layer shift, and that just, oh man, I can't tell you how annoyed I am by it. But I didn't want to reprint it and waste all that filament, because this is a lot of filament. So I'm going to go ahead and start the painting process. So Oddish is pretty simple, and these are the 4 colors that I'm going to be using for it. I've got Flag Red from Apple Barrel, I've got Hot Pink from Folk Art, Baby Pink from Folk Art, and just a straight up white from Ceramicoat. So for the mouth, all I'm going to be doing is using this Hot Pink and Baby Pink. And I'm going to go ahead and make his tongue the Baby Pink, and then the rest of it is going to be this Hot Pink. But before I actually get some color on here, because of the filament is so dark, I am going to do a base coat of just some of this white from Ceramicoat. So I'm just taking a fine point brush, and I've got my white right here already watered down, and I'm just going to start on this coat. So now I've got my base coat. Now all I have to do is let this dry, and then we're ready to set color on it. So one thing I wanted to mention before we start laying down our colors is I actually did my white base coat off of the edges. So I didn't go right up to the edges because I wanted to be able to have my colors overlap and get a nice, fine, crisp line. So when you're doing this as a white base coat, it's always a good idea to just come in just a little bit when you're painting. That way, your colors will have that nice edge line and you're not going to see any of that white. So I've got these already in my paint tray, and they're already thinned down with a little bit of water. And I am ready to start this mouth. So first I'm going to go ahead and use the light pink and paint the tongue. Okay, now I'm just going to let that dry, and then we'll move on to the back of the mouth. So now his mouth is all done, and the next thing is his eyes. So for the eyes, I'm going to be using this Flag Red, and I'm going to be putting just a tiny bit of this Baby Pink just to mute this down just a little bit. Alright, so you can see I just have a little bit in there, and I'm going to go ahead and use the same stir stick just so some of that color stays on there. Mix this up real good. Alright, so I have my red. Now we're just going to completely cover his eyes. And there we go. So I might need to put a second coat on there. I'm going to let it dry and see how it looks. So his eyes did take a second coat. Now the last thing is the little pupils in his eyes. The last thing I got to do is put the little white dot for his pupils. And I'm using just a little bit of a bigger brush, and I've overloaded the brush. So I put too much paint on it. And that is so I can just kind of touch it and get a perfect little dot right there on the eye. And there we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing again. Alright, now for his head. So I actually bought this fake grass, and I got it from IKEA, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but this is what it is. Yeah, not going to pronounce it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this out of the little planter, and I'm going to go ahead and just put it in here and see how we can set it in there. Alright, so after completely destroying this, because apparently they have concrete in the bottom to keep it weighted down, I got it apart. So now we just got to see what this looks like. And if I just put it in like that, that is not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just pack this with aluminum foil to kind of give it a little bit of volume in here. And there we go. Alright, so we're all done. Let's take a look at the final results. And here are the final results. And I honestly think it turned out really good. And it's always fun when you can incorporate other things into your 3D prints. And I think that grass just kind of put it over the top. I just love it. So I hope you've enjoyed this project, and I'll go ahead and put a link below where you can get the files to print this little guy yourself. I also just gotta ask, what do you think about my new set? I just finished it. I'm kind of excited about it. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. So that's it for today. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you over here in this next video.